Welcome, friends and fellow horse fiends. You've landed on Come Ride With Me, a podcast dedicated to helping you find harmony, joy, and success in your riding. I'm your host, Anna Fox of Equus Enlightened. This pod isn't about training your horse, but about training you to be the best partner for your horse. Listen to find out how I use my intention to direct my ride. You'll hear how I decide what to focus on, what to say yes to, and when to redirect my horse. You'll see how not getting frustrated or overwhelmed is the easiest path to sanity and harmony. So, what are you waiting for? Come ride with me. All right, horse fiends, welcome back to another episode of Come Ride With Me. We are back with Namaste today, and we're going to continue that work on the basic alignment exercise. And we may also have to continue some work on his go buttons, but we'll get started and see what happens. So the point of the basic alignment exercise is to get you a straight horse. And if you're familiar with the dressage training scale, straightness is right up there at the top with collection. But it doesn't mean that we can't work on straightness as we're working on getting collection, because it's an important part of collection. You need that impulsion and straightness to create collection, because when a horse has good impulsion and they're able to push that energy straight through their bodies and make a circuit, then you can have collection. But if they're not straight and the energy is escaping out in multiple directions, it's very hard to have nice collection. Impulsion is not just going fast. It's not just going forward. It is a combination of a forward-thinking horse that's moving freely, that is straight, and that is connected to the rider's aids. So all of those things together create impulsion, and then the horse can start to drop their croup, raise their shoulders, and become collected. I find people tend to start to get into trouble with this around third level because the lateral movements are getting a little trickier, and so is the level of impulsion required for them. So if the horse isn't straight, it makes it much more difficult. Training scale, and I like to really think of it more as a pyramid, because the things that are on there are there for a reason. And for instance, the pyramid aspect gives you the idea that you have a foundation of these things, and then there's a little bit of this. So more than thinking about that's how you're going to train your horse, I kind of think of that's how I go with every ride. How does his back feel? Do I feel like he's got, is he fuller on one side than he is on the other? In my thighs, do I feel like the shoulders step up evenly? Under my lower leg, do I feel like his rib cage swings out evenly? And then I go back to under my butt. Do I feel those hind feet? Do I feel both of them stepping up? And depending on what your level of confidence with your horse is, what your level of training is, you can go ahead. If you don't want to just start out maybe going faster than a walk on a loose rein, pick up your rein a little bit and test it out on the rein. All right, now that I'm picking up the rein, what happens to his body? First of all, does it change anything? Does he want to slow down? Does he want to shorten up? Does he want to get heavier on one side than the other? Do I feel him step up more under one seat bone than the other? Do I feel like there's more pressure against one calf or the other, meaning his rib cage is popping out to one side or the other. What do I feel in my thigh? Do I feel like one shoulder is out more than the other? What do I feel in my reins? Is he even in the rein? And can I flex him left and right easily? Now I'm going to let him go again, and I'm going to see again what happens when I go to pick up the rein. And as soon as I start to pick up the rein, is total, typical namaste. Okay, so if I just say when I go to pick up my rein, if I feel him put his weight on that shoulder, I'm going to right away use my inside leg, a little bit of inside. Get off. To stretch back down. I'm going to give him that release, right? Because that's the right thing. I want him to know that that's the right answer. I also want him to know that I'm not holding that position. It's not my job. He's a big boy. He can learn this responsibility for himself. Good. So, pick him up. See what happens this time. Again, I like to do this in threes. Now he's slowed down a bit that time, but he did not take as much weight onto the left shoulder. So that tells me, oh, he thought about it. He was like, oh, wait, I know I'm not supposed to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Cool. Exactly what I want. Okay, so now I've got him on a loose rein, and I'm going to see what happens. What if we go for a trot? What happens? Right there. Right away. Right on to the left shoulder. So we're going to walk, correct it, go back to trot. And we're going to kind of create a yo-yo like this. So I can show him that this is what I want and correct the problem. Correct the problem now so it's not an issue that I'm having to monitor later. Yeah, good. So what I did there was at the walk, like I had been, I created that sort of opposite positioning. I was like, no, I need you to come over here. I need you to bend a bit to the left. That includes your rib cage and this is because for him, like you'll see right here, it's really the shoulder that comes in and a bit of his rib cage too. So if I can get him to turn his head a bit, he doesn't have the opportunity to throw his shoulder in quite as much. And this is a pretty set in pattern for him. If you have a young horse or a horse that doesn't have a set pattern, usually they'll get out of it quite quickly, but yeah, it takes some time. And right there, that was quite good. And then he trots off, good again, but right away back onto the left shoulder. And I asked him to correct it in the trot, but he kind of ignored me. So I said, okay, we're going to go back to the walk, make the correction, start again. So what I'm doing is, right now, I'm asking him to correct it by slowing him down, making him walk, and going, hey, remember this? This is what I was asking you for. And now, he's gonna relaxed into it and held that position and even started to breathe a little bit there with the snorting. So again, let's try another time going up into the trot, and I'm going to make sure, like I'm going to set him up for success. I'm going to set him up into a little bit of a banana to the left. A little bit onto the shoulder there. So now I'm going to say, well, could you fix it right now? Like right, yeah, there. Good. Good boy. Good. Then I'm going to let him walk. This is not an exercise about style. This isn't an exercise about how pretty you look. This is an exercise about how you're going to make your life easier when you want to look pretty. We're not about all the things that make it pretty when we're doing this. There we go. Nice. Now he's able to hold that straightness and fuss at the flies too. There. And right now, if I ask him, yeah, he's pretty over, right? And you see me moving my body too. I'm saying, hey, can we do that? Now I don't keep doing that later on, but for right now, that is a way to exaggerate what I want and show him the way. And a lot of times I think this is what's lacking in our lessons is the concept of teaching horses the way. Teaching horses what we want them to know instead of trying to hold them in positions, make things happen. You know, anytime you're holding, there's tension involved. Holding always involves tension. So that negates the bottom part of your training pyramid right there. And if you are familiar, if you're a dressage person, you're familiar, goodness gracious, with dressage tests, then you will notice that in no test do you hold anything for any length of time. Even in the very basic, training level, introductory level, just walk, track, canter basically, you're still making transitions, making circles, traversing the ring in different patterns. So there's no holding, right? Holding creates tension. What I want him to learn is how he can better balance himself and therefore carry his weight equally and therefore make it easier for the energy to travel through his body and create impulsion and collection later down the line. Now we're having a gander at a horse's legs. He can see across the street. Actually, he can probably see way more of the horse than I can. It's moving through some trees. So I can see its legs. He can probably see me. See, this direction, he's already straighter. He really likes to stretchy. If I ask him now to pick up a little bit, what happens? He loses a little bit of relaxation and longitudinal suppleness, right? So that's the suppleness over his back. And that's why he lifts up a little bit. So I'm going to see, can I ask you? Yeah, let's go forward in the trot here. I think he was making room. Across his back there. Had to get some gas out. I think we've all been there. Yeah, good. And so, funnily enough, now when I pick up the rein, I don't get the head up and the less supple back. So it could really be something that simple. Maybe your horse has gas. Maybe there's something they need to work out. Right? Don't fight about it. See if you can work through it. Good boy. Perfect. So we know it's going to the left or to the left. We're going to see. Did we learn anything from going to the right? I don't know. We'll find out. Come. And this is a great exercise, just shortening up your reins from a long, stretchy posture, because it will right away tell you how supple is your horse longitudinally. And we can see that that's one of the things. Now, no, I'm not supposed to run my head around like that. So, because he flips his head a little bit is what happens when you go and try to shorten up the reins, and he's not quite supple enough to do it. His head comes up and then he might flip his nose a bit. So now he decided he would try trotting instead. See if that's the right answer. It's not the right answer, but I'm not going to get upset with him. I'm just going to be persistent. There, yeah. Now we have a nice walk where he's got his pole is high. He's maybe not as round of a dressage horse as some people, but that is something that will come as he gains that suppleness through his back and learns to use his hind end a little better. So now, in this form, what happens if I ask him to go forward? He's going to have to think about it because there's a lot of things, right? He had to stay in that position, plus he knows from our earlier conversation that laying on the left side's not the right answer. So it's a little hard for him. He had to think about it. Now he's like, oh, I might could even canter. That's perfect. So now let's see how he does after he's thought about it. We're gonna see very easily go forward because he's straight. And I've done my he wants to show you his beautiful extended trot, he says. I have done my work with the phases of the aids. I've gotten him sharp to my aids, so he's ready to go. It's lovely. All right, you can show them. You may show them. And we always want to do things that make our horses happy. Yeah. And then give them a break, right? For being a rock star. Go boy. Yeah. It's so fun if you can ever find things that your horses like to do, like that. Extended trot, piaffe, whatever, lead changes, Spanish walk, anything, any little fun thing that they like to do and let them do it, it makes them happy. Okay, so now we let him do his thing. He's like, oh gosh, are we done? No, we're not done. No, we're not done. Good. So we're going right now. Let's see if we can get some nice little straight transitions here. And then we'll see what we feel like. Good. He's ready. So he's kind of like, yeah, he's losing some longitudinal suppleness again because he's ready for me to ask him. But it's totally fine. Like, he's kind of excited. We're going to let him be excited because we like excited. Come on. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I definitely don't want to damper his excitement for work. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to see if I can harness it. Good. Good. Yeah, there you are. Yeah. So he's super straight. If I say, oh, he can go on his own. He doesn't need me. He's much more likely to stay straight and to do the things. Yeah. So good.
Now what happens if we go left lead canter?
Can we go canter? Yeah. Oh, we thought about thought about coming onto the left shoulder there.
Make the correction. Start again. Every time you make a correction, you're teaching the horse what you want them to do, not letting them do what you don't want them to do.
Ooh, good boy. Not bad. He's actually staying pretty straight on his own.
But remember, I don't want to hold it for long. He's learning, so we don't want to maintain it for too long.
So if I go trot, can I allow with that left rein? He fell a little bit in, so I'm going to correct that with whoop, whoop, my banana. And we're going to go back, left lead canter.
But again, I'm not maintaining it for long. And now I'm back to my yo-yo game where I am cantering a bit and then trotting, cantering again. If I need to make the correction off the shoulder, I do that before I ask him to canter again. This is a great strengthening exercise for the horse's longitudinal suppleness as well as their balance and getting them off of the shoulder in his case. Remember, I don't want to have to hold him up. The idea is that he carries himself.
That is inevitably what I want. Yeah, this is lovely.
So now let's try the right side. And of course that is much easier for him. But I'm going to do the same thing with the yo-yo. I'm going to canter a little bit and trot. Make sure he's straight. Go back to the canter. Really nail down those good transitions. And since he's so wonderful, let him stop for the day. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Come Ride With Me. My goal is to demonstrate to riders that we don't have to do something every second of a ride. We don't have to do things a certain way or at a certain time. Just staying present with your horse and gathering non-judgmental information about how they are going is way more beneficial than overthinking and overworking. If you'd like to learn more about what I do at Equus Enlightened, you can find me at equisenlightened.net or on patreon.com/equisenlightened. You can also find me on social media as Equus Enlightened. I will put all the links in the show notes. And until next time, happy riding. Oh, before you go, please remember to rate, review, and share this pod so others can find it. I would love constructive criticism, but like my mom used to say, if you don't have anything really nice to say, there's no need to say it. Just ride on, my friends. Have a great week.